I'm excited about the next session because it is the most creative, call it marketing, patient support, patient outreach, all of the above, the most innovative and creative thing I've seen a life science company do. It's very different, and you'll hear it's a little bit edgy. So do we want to start with the clip first, Ken?
I'm Christopher Morgan. I'm 22 years old, and I've been living with cystic fibrosis my whole life.
I've been so excited about being part of Becoming Christopher for many reasons, but just thinking about this film being available to the CF community, both to young people who are dealing with cystic fibrosis, to their families, and to both pediatric and adult teams. This is vital.
So, I've been thinking, switching doctors could be a good thing. I mean, I wouldn't have to be surrounded by little kids and toys every time I go for an exam.
Peer relationships, as pointed out in the film with Beverly, are extremely important. And for me, that was actually an aha moment in watching the film, because from the adult side, we don't think about the peers, at least quite as much.
It would be nice to be able to talk about sex and stuff with a doctor who hasn't known me since I was 7 months old. I want to do this.
I think Becoming Christopher has been a wonderful opportunity to really think about what families and teenagers go through in thinking about healthcare transition.
You know, this is all about you making decisions for yourself.
Sounds good. Mom, it's Christopher.
Beg your pardon?
Can you just call me Christopher? It's what I want to be called.
Oh.
It is my pleasure to introduce the Director of Public Relations at Novartis Pharmaceuticals. Please welcome Maureen Byrne.
Hi, everyone. As Kevin said, my name is Maureen Byrne, and I work at Novartis in our communications department in our U.S. headquarters in New Jersey. I'm really delighted to be here today. Kevin, thank you very much for inviting me to be part of the program. This is an initiative that has been near and dear to my heart, and certainly a true labor of love from myself as well as many colleagues at Novartis and our PR firm Chandler Kiko and folks within the CF community who helped us to make it a success. So I am going to start off with just a little bit of background about cystic fibrosis and then talk about the execution of the program as well as some of the results that we've seen to date. So CF. It is a very niche disease. It is a very close, tight-knit community. There are about 30,000 patients living with cystic fibrosis around the nation, about 130 or so CF care centers, and a very tight community. There's also a very exciting and interesting thing happening in cystic fibrosis over the last several years, which is sort of the emergence of adult cystic fibrosis care. So years ago, the life expectancy for people living with cystic fibrosis was quite short. So all of the care was administered in pediatric care settings. But over time, as we've had advances in medicine, new treatments, and just better understanding of the disease and how to best manage it, patients are living into their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. So it's good news that there is now a need for adult CF care providers. But it also has represented a challenge within the CF community because you have people who have been treated by nurses, physicians, who they have become like family members. They're, sometimes you're treated from the time of an infant up until, young adulthood by the same core group of people, and they're very, very close-knit relationships, and then the recommendation now is to switch to adult care by the time of around 18 years of age. So you're very familiar, very comfortable with this care team, and then it's kind of like stop and go see these new people. So it can be a real challenge for patients as well as the healthcare professionals. So we noticed this right away, Novartis, when we entered the CF space, and that's my last bit of background, which is Novartis became involved in cystic fibrosis roughly 4 years ago when we acquired Chiron. We were brand new to CF, and Chiron had been marketing the product Toby for about 7 or 8 years. They were very well entrenched, very well thought of in the CF community, and we came in as new people. The community of this tight-knit group did not know us. We started hearing a lot of concern that concerned us. They were concerned that Novartis, big pharma company, focused on blockbuster products, huge therapeutic areas. Are they even going to really market Toby? Are they going to take the effort to invest in this product, in this community, and deliver disease education for cystic fibrosis patients? And we also, heard that it was just that there was a lot of concern. So this alarmed us. We said we need to do something that's really big, that's going to send the message to the community that we are here to be a dedicated, committed partner in CF care and helping advance the treatment of CF. So that is how we developed the idea of Christopher. We, knowing that we wanted to do something big and different and to send a really meaningful message, we decided to use storytelling and drama to bring forward and to help advance the discussion around this important topic of transition from pediatric to adult care. So we hired a professional playwright, Michael Slade, and the key to this program was that I think as Jonathan was talking about, we knew that we needed to be very relevant and very authentic to the CF experience. So Michael did extensive research. He shadowed CF care teams. He also met with many CF families, CF patients, spent a lot of time in reading blogs on the internet to make sure that he really captured the dialogue and the experience and the emotion of this transition that patients are going through. We also were very fortunate to have a group of advisors. We had an adult pulmonologist, a pediatric pulmonologist, a nurse coordinator, and a CF patient who were really with us every single step of the way, from the first draft of the script all the way through to script readings and the rehearsals, as well as the premiere and being our panelists following. So they really worked together with us to make sure that we were portraying an authentic situation in terms of everything from dialogue to the right actors and the right emotions that we were bringing forward. So we premiered the play at the North American Cystic Fibrosis Conference, and this is really the ultimate gathering for cystic fibrosis care centers nationwide. It's once a year in the fall, and it was really a good opportunity for us to come out, introduce ourselves as Novartis, and to try to send this message of commitment and partnership in CF care. And it was a nail biter. I was very nervous. We thought we did a good job. We thought we had captured the right emotion. We captured the authentic story, but it was still very nerve-wracking. They didn't know what they were coming into. A play was a little bit different than the usual scientific presentations that they're used to seeing at conferences. And we got a really overwhelmingly positive response. We had about over 600 healthcare professionals in the audience, which is quite remarkable for a satellite event at a medical meeting these days. And it was standing ovation. We were really grateful for the reception that we got. About 90% said that the play accurately portrayed the challenges of CF, and then almost 90% said that they were motivated to reconsider their interactions with patients, specifically around transition, and that was really the end game for us. We got great commentary, people writing in the margins of the response cards with new ideas and comments about how it really hit home. So it really did achieve what we were hoping to achieve, which was a connection with our customers, and inciting a new dialogue and a new way to look at transition, and for care teams to raise this topic and to challenge each other about how we're doing in transitioning patients and doing that successfully. We also got great feedback from our sales force. In response to the audience feedback at the play, we developed a film that our sales folks brought into CF centers, and They really got great feedback and felt that it was an opportunity for them to engage in a deeper dialogue, a very meaningful discussion with their customers, and it was a relationship builder. So for us, we feel like this was a program that achieved this sort of idea of cognitive connectivity. First, it really enabled us to demonstrate to this very sophisticated audience that we were going to be a partner in cystic fibrosis care. Second, it enabled our sales force to really engage in those meaningful conversations and improve their relationships with their customers. And third, we do believe that this idea of storytelling and drama was able to incite provocative and different meaningful conversations around transitions. Care teams would watch the film and then have group discussions about how are we doing, how does this relate to how we're treating with our patients, and we got feedback that it was really the first time that they were able to see from a patient's point of view what the experience was like. So it's been a great success, and we've continued it with two additional films, and we have experimented with in the social media space with Twitter and bring Christopher on Facebook, and continue to roll it forward. So it's been a great program, and I'll wrap it there.
Thank you. Why don't you join Jonathan over here? Again, I'm delighted. We're going to round out the conversation with our next guest. He has performed at the Public Theater and Classic Stage Company off-Broadway and several regional theaters around the country. He studied acting at Marymount Manhattan College and has appeared in films including Prom Night, The Wake, and Flights. He played the title role in the original stage production of Becoming Christopher and also in the Christopher Chronicles. Please welcome Andy Phelan. Thanks, Andy. This is not like any panel I've ever done before. Hopefully everyone agrees it's a little different. Thanks for coming, everybody. So, Andy, the first question is, I'm assuming that when you were first contacted about this project, you probably weren't very familiar with cystic fibrosis?
Not at all, yeah. I didn't really know much about it, if anything, when we started. I guess the director of the play was someone I'd worked with before, and she called me completely out of the blue, and she said, "Do you still look skinny, like maybe sickly skinny?" And I was like, I guess. And so she brought me on a reading of it, and then still I had no idea what we were doing, and then it turned into this crazy, amazing project.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Maureen shared some of the process of the advisors and all of that. Tell us a little bit, what was that like for you? Obviously you have to prepare for any role. Yeah. But what did you do to prepare for this role?
Well, there was a big focus on authenticity for this, because we just wanted it to ring true for actual patients with CF. So when you're dealing with you always want to focus on the details with acting, but when you're dealing with a specific illness, it's like you have this benefit where there's details you can focus on that will be great, but then if you mess them up, people will see right through you. So we did a lot. We had interns. We had Tim Cawley, who was a patient with CF, the whole process in the play and in the films. So anytime that I had a question or anyone had a question, we could just stop whatever we were doing and ask him.
Did you spend time with them ahead of time to talk about that, or in any of the script
Well, in rehearsal for the plays, we had about a week and a half of rehearsals, so he was there the whole time with that.
So starting when it was a play,
yeah,
it was a production. Okay.
Yeah. We also did a lot of YouTube research, just pouring through videos. We had some interns that were helping us with that, so there was just constant knowledge and information coming at us the whole time, which was really important.
Do you recall a time maybe when you were, especially with the films perhaps, where you were doing a scene and then the patient advisor sort of said, "Whoa, wait a minute, Andy, you got it"?
Oh, totally. I mean, he wasn't lazy at all. He was
wasn't shy.
Yeah, not at all. We did a lot with, we wanted each piece of equipment that the patients used to, I wanted to know exactly what I was doing, so we would just sit down and work with it. He would show me how he used it. There's a lot of things too where, like, they do a vest that sort of beats your chest. And I think of that as like something you sit down and do, and I was sitting in the chair like shaking, and then he was like, well, I would probably just, do my regular stuff while I was doing this. So we had to sort of create things for Christopher to do that was like, I'm shaking because I've never done this, but then I'm like scrapbooking, or I think I was doing some animation it was in the second film. Yeah. We did a lot with taking the pills, because when I take pills, I would do like, one at a time, or they have to take so many that it's just a handful, and then you're done. It's like a meal almost.
So even down to the details, trying to be authentic.
Yeah,
for
that kind of
what
stuff.
that's
We
like.
just had to sort of make it look real, really.
Something, and I would encourage everyone, you can see the films, they're on YouTube, also on cfvoice.com, and I learned a lot about the condition and this issue. And what was interesting, though, is I imagine there was a lot that you could relate to as a young man, your own experience. I mean, there were some universal themes about moving out of your parents' house, having roommates, you know, who eat your food and don't tell you, and, you know, that's a pain for all of us. If you have CF and you're trying to pump calories and eat peanut butter all day long and they've eaten your peanut butter, all of a sudden it takes on added significance, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with real problems. They're just, when you have CF, it's worse, and it's more of a concern for your actual health and well-being than, maybe, you know, it might be an annoyance for normal people, but when your roommate eats your food and you don't have breakfast that morning, it could be, you know, life or death even in the long run.
Right. Now, we heard about the tremendous positive feedback from all the constituents from the film. And in fact, I want to reference one scene. It's a scene where Christopher, I think, wakes up to the alarm at 5:30 in the morning and can't catch his breath, and he's coughing. And it's, I found myself, like, that's the moment when I was no longer preparing for this talk, and I was like in the film, and I don't even know how you did what you did, coughing. And your friend Beverly, I was yelling at the screen, Beverly, call 911. You know, it was like one of those things. Don't open the closet. You know, so that's when I got into it.
Yeah.
So to me, I can't imagine how it could be more authentic, and yet in previous conversations, I've heard people in the industry say, I would never cast an actor to play the role of a CF patient. Unless you've got it, you can't relate to it. It's disrespectful. And I would have to say, I got an email just about a day ago from someone I don't know saying, I noticed you're having an actor who's portraying someone with CF. How come they have actors and not the real patient playing someone with CF? So did either of you hear any of that critique, and how would you respond?
Yeah, we actually, as we looked for actors, we did interview a couple of, our ideal case scenario would have been, no offense, Andy, to have a person living with CF play the role. And, you know, but we also kept a level playing field. We wanted to have somebody who, you know, had experience. We didn't get the candidates. I think we interviewed 1 or 2 people. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we thought that Andy could do the job, and he certainly did. You know, I think that my opinion would be, it's always better to you know, there are so many talented people out there living with these diseases that we're working with. It's always better to work with a person who has the disease, and you really can't ever, even if you're, you know, the mother or the brother or the sister or family member or of someone with a disease, you can't really understand it unless you have it yourself. So I think that's very, very valid. But in this case, we just, since we didn't have a lead character who had CF, we just worked with Andy to give him all the resources that we could so that he could do the best that he could do to really portray the experience.
I'll give you a real practical answer to that too. There's a student at my college with CF who just contacted me a couple weeks ago, and he's been in the acting program, and he just can't afford to be in a career where you're not guaranteed health insurance. So he's sort of transitioning to another occupation. So I don't know that there are that many professional actors out there with CF who can do it.
And that's an issue you address in the film as well, because Christopher wasn't thrilled about going to work for his father initially, but the impact of insurance and is just the reality of it.
Yeah, you just have to. And Christopher was encouraged to go to school for philosophy, which is great. But I think at the time, I think in the story, they're not really focusing on what he's going to do after college when he's still alive and needs health insurance.
That's right. That's right. Now, the other thing I want to bring up, as if it isn't sort of creative enough to do this play and then two films, what you included, there was a scene that I had to watch 3 times. It really shocked me, coming from a big pharma company. And it was right after the scene where Christopher's friend Beverly says, don't you want to move out so you can start getting laid? But that wasn't the scene that shocked me. Right after that, the Christopher character is smoking pot up in his room. And I was sort of, taking notes and thinking, what is he doing? And then I, rewound. Could there be some CF medication that looks like a joint? And watching it, no, that's so. Why was that in the film? And Maureen, do you forget who you work for, or were you out that day?
I will tell you, when I first got the first draft of the script, that I said, "Are you guys trying to get me fired? What are you talking about?" And we had a lot of conversation within our review committee at the company about that scene, about both of those scenes. Did it have to be so vulgar, or talk about getting laid, as well as the having someone with a lung disease smoking pot? But we felt like, looking at the story, and I think a lot of what Jonathan, taught us about this morning, we needed to, we wanted to have some edgy things that people connected with, and that stuff happens. Though that's real talk from young people. They don't say, "Would you like to have intercourse?" Or this is the language people use. So we really we knew that we needed it to be authentic, and then. We wanted to have a pivotal scene where you kind of see Christopher doing things, and it's shocking to see, and it's alarming to see somebody who has a lung disease smoking. Right. But we felt that it was pivotal to the storytelling, and it was a pivotal sort of second act, I guess I would say, to having the conflict and the real problem that needed to be resolved. So, our team actually came around to it very quickly and said, this is a pivotal part. It is important to show this. So, we got it approved and proceeded. And,
kudos for fighting the fight. Not everyone
and
is
our
willing to fight
advisors,
the fight.
the pulmonologists on our panel, they were all for it. They said, this is real. You should. They really pushed us for it as well. They said, this happens. I hear about it. It should be included. So, we got advice that really led us in the right direction, too.
I think it was really the make or break on that first film. It showed that the whole project wasn't really beating around the bush with all these issues. And when we did the play, we were all, the cast, we were totally nervous. We didn't really know what we were doing. It was a conference room converted into an arena, and we had rent microphones. And then, so it was dead silence. The audience wasn't very responsive in the beginning, and we were shaking. And then a scene, I came out to the middle of the stage in the corner and just all of a sudden pulled out a bowl to smoke, and the whole audience just gasped. And there were people going, no! It was really exciting, and I was like, we got them.
So it was necessary.
Yeah.
That, when you were getting high, that looked really authentic. I want to ask about your inspiration.
Consultants.
Consultants, more consultants. Last question. So, Maureen, you decided, with the success of the Christopher character and reaching out to the community, to see if you could extend the character into social media. Do you want to share that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we kind of, going into this year, we felt like we had created all of these resources, the 3 films, the discussion guides, we, really saw that cystic fibrosis patients are very, very active in the social media space. They're really discouraged from interacting with one another because of the risk of cross-infections with certain bacteria infections. And then they also, because it's a rare disease, it's unlikely for you to, have somebody on your block or in your school or, in your world who has CF. So they really take advantage of social media to connect and share experiences. So we kind of thought, we've got these great resources, we should put them out there into the social media space. So we created a Facebook page for Christopher, as well as a Twitter handle, and we launched that, I guess, earlier this year. And there was a couple things we did that were really important to us to make sure that we were being very transparent that this was a fictional character. We kind of did this all under the guise of an experiment to see how it was going to be received, and we were very careful to really make it real clear that he was fictional. But I wish we would have done more to also explain that he wasn't created for those platforms, that we had a rich history within cystic fibrosis community for the last 2-3 years of this character being known and understood within CF. So we've, I'd say we're kind of, debating right now about where do we take it. With Twitter, in particular, without having really good, rules and regulations from the FDA, we've taken a pretty conservative approach in how we've sought followers.
You're not allowed to follow other people.
Yeah, we're not following anybody, which is kind of, a major limiting factor right now. So we're looking at what we should do to sort of either evolve or transition the Twitter probably, but it's been an experiment. I'd say that we haven't been fully successful in really engaging the CF community in Twitter.
Right.
We've had a lot of social media, marketing gurus kind of checking it out, but we're not really reaching our community that way right now.
And I just want to stress, because earlier this year from some other companies, there's been a lot of debate about the use of fictitious patients in social media. And I'm a little bit conflicted, but I come down on the side usually of let's be creative, let's tell a story, let's do what we need to connect and engage.
Yeah.
But to me, the rule on that, which you follow, is be transparent. Right in the profile, this is a fictitious character created to help share. And I think as long as everybody, there's no deception, I think it's fair game myself.